the one question everyone wants to know: who the fuck is Commander Rex?
Well, Commander Rex, a lot of people will know as the former lead developer and then a former senior admin. I think most people know me as a chill guy. Otherwise, you know me as the guy who cooed goat.
Tell me more about that. Why the goat coup?
All right, oof. Right into it. So, I was back in 2017. I want to say 2017 or 2018. I can't even remember.
Right.
Um, at the time, and I still stand by this. And it's awesome to see that Goat's chief now. Um, he was the best chief at the time. He had a lot of heart for the game. He had a lot of heart for the APD. But he definitely, or at the time, a lot of that led into a big like political situation
Right.
with the staff and with the civ reps at the time
Mm-hmm.
because there was no sub council.
Right.
And so staff meetings were the worst thing to be in. You would get in a staff meeting and you just dread the roundtables because the roundtables would last like hours on end. Like probably, I think we had some that would last like 3 or 4 hours just
Oh, I
roundtables
haven't been in one
alone.
that long.
Yeah,
I've been in some long ones, but nothing like that.
oh, it was awful because it would be like we'd be like setting up roadblocks and brick walls on ideas, and it kind of led to this thing where the staff could not tell the senior APD everything, and vice versa would happen. The senior APD wouldn't tell the APD everything, and so rulebook changes would come out, and the APD rule handbook is kind of like another server rules,
Yeah.
and so handbook changes would be pumped out that McDilli or the other admins wouldn't see that would change the server big time,
Yeah.
and that would cause issues. And then change logs and stuff in the APD would be secretly kind of like changed without telling the senior APD because it would just be a brick wall at meetings. And so it turned into this whole kind of like political game.
Right.
And with the goat coup, myself, Meth, Goodman at the time, just some old characters in the senior APD. We were helping Goat out, get information that the rest of the staff did not want us to tell him. And so
Right.
we kind of played a hand in that. So that turned into a political situation, ended up getting Meth removed from moderator and designer, I believe,
Really.
if I recall correctly.
So is he like leaking staff information? Is what?
Well, we all were. I
Oh,
mean, I'm going to be
okay.
fully honest. I was
Yeah.
too. I was
Yeah.
too.
Fair enough.
But it wasn't like essential staff. It was like changelog information, but it was
Right.
such a little, cat and mouse kind of game
Right.
there. And with that, Goat had thought that when Meth got removed, I believe it was me and a few others who had told the senior staff at the time that Meth was releasing information or got to that Meth was doing it. And so Goat and Meth had both thought that Outcast was the leaker. And
Right.
I swear to God, they might still think to this day, even Outcast wrote it in his '07 post, that he was the one who had ratted, which was not at all the case. He had not said anything about Meth.
Right.
And so they had wrote on the time at chief sheets between myself, Meth, and Goat that they were going to remove Outcast from Lieutenant for whatever they possibly could. That
Oh,
before
wow.
they went, because Goat and Meth were on the track, they were going to step down in like 2-3 months' time from the point they wrote that message. And they wanted Outcast removed because they wanted hashtag no rats.
Right.
And I brought that to Dilly because I wasn't happy with Goat and Meth because I didn't like how the staff meetings were going. I didn't like the relationship between the staff and the senior APD. And then I'm on that. Goat had told me, came to me at the time and he's like, okay, so my philosophy, I do not like staff as chiefs of police, which to me, I had respect to that. Like I understood that point because he wanted somebody that was solely focused on chief, solely focused on what was good for the APD.
Yeah.
And he thought there would be too many issues between the two. And so I didn't, he's like, listen, Rex, you can either step down from admin and I'll give you chief. We'll get you on the track for that in the next 2 months. Or you can help us choose one of the lieutenants to bring on up. So it was either going to be Pledge or Jordan, probably Pledge because that's who
Right.
Goat and Meth had liked. We're going to promote them to deputy chief, and then in 2 months' time, we're going to get them set up for chief because we can't have a staff as chief. And so that, among all the other things, led me to go straight to Dilly and kind of organize this coup d'etat. It originally, it was me bringing stuff to Dilly with no intention of having anything happen to Goat. Just,
Right.
Hey, this is happening. We need to stop this so that staff and APD can get along.
Yeah.
And then it 100% turned into a coup. And that was interesting in itself because it led to, it was a lot of drama, but as opposed to Talindor trying to coup Goat, where there was a mass exodus, it was me cooing Goat, and I think the only person we lost was a PO who was not happy. ParkerRadley. I still remember that. But
That's funny.
I kind of regret it. I kind of regret because it was very childish in nature, and Goat was good. I just don't know how we could have gotten the senior APD and staff relations to recover from that point on.
Right. It seems a lot better. I will say, since I'm on the Civ Council, I go to the staff meetings, and there's the Civ roundtable, and then there's the APD roundtable, and there's a staff roundtable. And I'll say, for the most part, I mean, I know the staff members that usually defend the Civ stuff, but I feel like for the most part, APD and staff are on the same side, and then civilians are on the other side, for the most part. So that's interesting. That it sounds like that was the opposite.
Yes.
Okay.
In a sense, it was. And it had kind of turned because a lot of the staff under Goat's kind of rule and my rule, a lot of the senior APD became staff, and so that's how things started to switch around a little bit. But I spent my tenure, I basically focused on trying to get the staff and the senior APD to be together, because even after the coup, there was this huge kind of standstill with the senior APD where they did not want to work, they did not trust the staff were their enemies, and it's just we're both trying to make the server good.
Yeah.
And so let's just let's work together. And so that was kind of where my tenure, what I tried to focus on for the duration when I was chief.
Mm-hmm.
And then so at least now it seems like staff and senior APD mostly get along. So
it seems that way, at least through my it seems that way through my eyes. I mean, I'm neither staff or senior APD. I'm just civilian council, and so that's pretty much it. So I can't really speak from their perspective, but at least from the outside looking in, it seems like they have a very close relationship. So it's interesting that you explained it that way, because I would have never thought that. You know what I mean? So that they're really pitted against each other. That's interesting. So you're talking about all these positions that you had been in. How did it really all start for you? How do you go from being a civilian first day on Olympus and being how do I pick apples to I'm chief of police, right?
So at least for when it got into the roles, I had been a part of Olympus for that not even long. It was 6 months. 6 months, probably less than that. Actually, I think it was more closer to 4.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout that 4 months, I was in old gangs, BFO.
Right. Okay.
People know that before the handbook, before Codeyeti wrote all that. Just putting that out there. And then I was in BW, so Blackwater, and then I was in VX.
Okay.
And a lot of the VX guys or a few of them were starting to get into kind of the support team stuff. And I'm like, you know what? That'd be kind of cool. I spend so much time on this. You know, I'm going to try to help out other people who are having issues with rules. And so I managed to get into that kind of support team role, and it was just in shambles at the time. There was no leadership, no foundation, or there was a very, very basic foundation, but it was pretty much dead at that time. And so Pledge, Goodman, and I had worked to revive it, and through that ended up being senior support. There was no support team lead at the time.
Right.
And then eventually I had kind of worked my way up to moderator at that point, and I should not have gotten moderator at all.
Why do you say that?
I was okay. So I was the first underage moderator for I think the better part of a year and a half at that point.
Right.
MrKevin was the one before that, which I don't think most people know that name here.
Oh, I don't.
And I hardly know him, but apparently he had done some bad stuff that I can't quite remember. I remember talking about it, but they just did not trust anybody that was under 18 at that time for fair reason.
Right.
So somehow senior support 3 months in, Rex was just like, yeah, let's bring him to moderator, and I barely got in, and I worked hard, and I was a decent moderator. Eventually went up to admin, and then senior admin, and senior admin's what led me into dev sessions with ikiled, and at the time I'm still working on my major in computer science. So I was interested in, developing, seeing how coding worked with Olympus, worked with him on that, and got into developers at a time where it was really, really needed.
Right.
And then just basically through, a lot of work and a lot of, patience and having fun with development, I got senior developer and then lead developer. That's kind of where the story kind of ends there.
When did you get to senior admin to development, and did you have both at the same time, or is it you switched from one to the other?
So I had so that was a big theme. Like, people weren't sure what to do. At first it was just are you going to be admin and developer at the same time? Like, how can we possibly have that? And the truth is, especially the more staff you have, but the truth is it's really not hard to maintain a staff position, like, or an administrative staff position like mod or admin, because there's so many other staff members, and doing tickets ain't that hard. Truth be told, the hardest part about tickets are the ones that take, a long time and have really bad ban appeals, or just a comp that takes forever. Other than that, you do your fair share of tickets in a week, and you get to put the check mark on the box, you're active this week.
Yeah.
And so that gives me the rest of the week, and I just had a lot of free time to be able to just develop and kind of hone those skills. So they let me have they're like, you can have both, stick with both, because I was already senior admin when I got developer.
Right.
And senior admins can be even more inactive. I'm sure I'm still going to say, and that at that point I was still, and I think for the better part of my entire time as senior admin, I was the most active senior admin. Not to put anything against, Gary, Doc, and then Aries for a bit, but I mean, they got live. They had lives.
Yeah.
That's all I did. So I became developer, and then I got senior developer, and I was hanging on to those two. And then when I got lead, I said at that point, it was just like, nah, I'm not gonna, go back to both. I can focus now on the development team and the design team, and I don't need to worry about the admin team. So once I got lead developer, I stepped down from senior admin.
Okay, and you said design. So you were doing design, or were you lead design?
I wasn't directly designing, but the lead developer's kind of role is to oversee the design up department.
Okay.
And design was kind of, its own theme then too, like you have to work with developers, but you also have to manage yourself, especially the senior designers and lead designers. They have to kind of be able to manage things. Right. And if they aren't managing well or staying on task, then that's the lead developer that has to come in and be like, or senior or lead developers have to come in and kind of show them where they need to be going.
Right, fair enough. So when you're doing those higher level positions, when you're senior admin, senior developer, lead developer, I feel like, how much were you actually playing on the server then? Because I feel like you don't get. Do you have time or no?
You don't have a lot of time, especially if you're really working on that stuff, to play on the physical server. The most, especially when I was developing. The most I was playing on the server was debugging the server live, which was, if you were debugging on the live server at all, you're already having a bad day. Or I might have been scatting with Fusah or Jordan. That's it. I don't, in a few hours a month, if that. Right. Because you don't have that much time. And by then, usually the people in those roles are people who have played enough to where they're like, I'm not into it anymore. And that's basically how it was after. Just before senior admin, that's basically where I was. I was just like, I'm tired of playing this game. It's boring in that aspect, and the fun aspect for me comes out of, the top level administration type of stuff.
Yeah. Zahzi's lead developer now. What was your experience with Zahzi, and what were your up until this point have been your experiences with Zahzi, if any?
So Zahzi, before he submitted this web developer application, he was a guy who submitted reports, and he was that guy who had the keyboard and mouse inputs labeled on all of his reports, like live. But other than that, he always seemed like a nice guy. Always seemed to have a a solid idea for his ideas, and came up with good ideas. So he seemed like a very, very nice guy, and he submitted a web developer application, and I was very intrigued because I have very, very little web development experiences, front end experience. So it was kind of something that we were looking for. The only problem with it, especially with ikiled having stepped down, we were really looking for it.
Right.
And the only problem is when you're a web developer, you literally have access to everything. You have all of the tools in the book. You can do anything to the server. And that's the biggest thing we try to do, is we try to keep it as secure as possible. And so it was kind of on hold because people liked him. Like Ryan really, really, really liked him. He really trusted him. And I'm like, I was kind of sitting in that middleman. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to screw over the server by, getting a guy into a position that, I'm not sure we're safe with. But if this guy, can make the server really, really good and a lot better, which Zahzi has, then, I wanted him in. ikiled at the time had said no, he was not a fan of him because ikiled said he could handle all the web development. And
but he had stepped down.
He wasn't he ended up stepping down, but he was kind of like playing a game where he's like still wanting in a little bit. And so once the server, and you might remember this, I don't know if you're a part of this or not, but once the servers went down, the forums just said one statement. Once that happened, things were largely out of even my control.
Right.
And Ryan didn't know what he could do. And so at that point, he was like, okay, I'm going to Zahzi on this. And Zahzi was able to repair that, get that going back up, getting everything where it needed to be.
Really?
And then from then on, it's just like, hey, if you did this for us, you might as well start the web development stuff. And so that ushered him in, and he just did a great job and has continued to do a really, really good job of, not only just developing, but leading the development team and stuff, even without having SQF, which is the Arma code experience, which is something that every single, lead developer and senior developer has had since ever.
Yeah. How much can you talk about that time in Olympus, that the server's going down and everything? How much can you share?
The length of my knowledge on it is still like, I don't know who did it. I don't know if they've ever really 100% confirmed who did it. The things that were changed and what was happening was on such a huge scale that no simple person could have done it at the time. Like it was some spooky stuff. Like, to be honest, like we had gotten big hacks. Like this wasn't just a small little database or form hack. That was the biggest, problem that we've ever had. And fortunately, that had bumped the security of making sure that people should not have access to high-end tools that they don't need it.
So when you stepped down, explain that. Why'd you step down? Why'd you retire?
Okay, so there was a huge handful of things. It wasn't just one specific thing. One, I was really bored of Arma, and not just playing in game, but also of all the development of it. It's not a fun, like, it's fun to develop on Arma, but at the same time, anybody who's developed on Arma and has also developed in other things know that it is also like super, super messy, and things don't work that should work because it's Arma. That's the simplest explanation I can have. So it became really tedious because the months before that, I was pretty much the only developer that was really putting out a lot of work. And so I had burned myself out.
Yeah.
And so finally, with getting new developers in, even if they were just getting in the door, I was able to, step off the gas a little bit, and they were, able to put them more in charge and delegate them more work and put them on their feet. So being bored was one. And then two, I wasn't a big fan of where the server was going. Ryan was a new owner. I started to see him make a lot of the same mistakes that I was seeing past owners make.
Right.
I didn't feel like my opinion was heard as well as it should have. So I kind of went my separate ways. I knew Ryan wouldn't, he wouldn't be the downfall of Olympus. He's no Aries.
Right.
I remember Aries very, very well.
Right.
No, he's going to do fine. He's going to get better. But I was just kind of like, I don't know if I want to be a part of this anymore in that aspect. I had a lot of real life stuff starting to go on, finals, college, and then I had a girlfriend and stuff. So that was kind of what I was really focused on at the time. As my workload has released, I've been able to get back a little bit on some of the more fun development aspects instead of actually full on leading a team, being able to just, hey, let me, help this developer out with this little thing or get this little thing made with development. And that's kind of where I like to be right now.
So you are still involved in helping the development team right now?
Recently, the past month or so, I haven't been as hands-on, but especially when Civak first left, I was trying to, and I'm still open to any developer or contributor that comes my way. Even anybody just trying to learn SQF that's not related to Olympus, I'm kind of open to wanting to help with something.
Yeah.
And if I have advice to give them, I'm willing to give it, or if they need something reviewed, I'll review it. So I'm still able to see what's being brought into the mission file and stuff, and help review that if I need to. And if Zahzi ever needs me to take a look at something, I can do that.
You got any good staff meeting or ticket stories?
I do have one story that has always come to mind, and it's a senior APD discipline story. We had a deputy. Okay. He was a brand new deputy, seemed kind of clueless, whatever. Well, he was in Kavala.
Right.
And he saw somebody speeding by in a hatchback, and he wanted to pull them over for speeding. So his idea was initially to commandeer a medical strider. So he just got in the driver's seat of that, lights and sirens blazing down Kavala Street, Kavala MSR, straight towards the guy. Ended up getting near the guy. They were stopped.
Right.
And then going past him, continuing on, not even following him anymore. Gets into a head-to-head collision that's his fault with another civ, jumps out, immediately tases this random civ, and then says, after he tases him, APD, hands up or be tased, hands up or be tased. Yeah, I've never had a, besides perm bans, that was probably the fastest blacklist I've ever had.
What was your least favorite thing in terms of what you were tasked with in your staff positions that you had? What was the thing that you just hated doing? Was there anything?
There was some things that I hated. It's hard to remember them. Funny enough, those are the things that you don't remember. I think the things that I hated the most was, I think, as a developer, having this before an update. You'd crunch time out, and especially when I was senior developer / lead developer, it would basically be me the entire update, and then me also trying to meet a relative deadline and trying to crunch time out to get everything done, and then putting that mission file together, getting all the designs together, getting all the development together, testing that, making sure it all works together,
right?
And then thinking you're in a good spot there, so you obfuscate it and then push it, and then found out that the obfuscation of the code, which is kind of like concealing the code in a way to kind of better explain that so that it's more secure. After doing that, it actually messes up the mission file sometimes. And so seeing all that hard work be put into all of this, just straight hours and hours and hours of work, you push it, you turn back around oh, hey, hopefully everybody's enjoying this. And then you get a call this, and this are broken. And it's just here I go, 2 a.m. Gotta wake up at 6 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Figuring out how I'm going to fix this.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's not a huge rewrite. The hardest part is just making sure fixing it, testing it. And then usually it's going back to fix it 5 more times before it's, rock solid. And then the obfuscation and pushing an update part is super, super tedious if you have to do it more than once.
Right. What was your favorite script that you ever pushed into Olympus? What was the thing that you were most excited about? You're I can't wait till I can release this, and then when you released it, it was good and everything went well.
I don't know. I can't say if I had one that I loved the most. I had a few I enjoyed working on. The Hitman bounty system was kind of fun. I knew it wouldn't get a whole lot of use.
Yeah.
One thing that really kind of excited me at the time, and it was, I know it's not a full fix but it did help things a little bit, I think, was that Google was his name, one of the guys he had released a post that showed how different the taser versus a real the live round guns, the lethals, what kind of impact those had on armor and stuff, and that there was a problem. And so I kind of looked through the scripts and how the taser reacts to people. And there was, this whole time, for years and years and years, despite people refuting it, there was an issue with it. And just the way it was written. So I had to try to write that, and Arma code is not easy. So I tediously, for like several hours, sat down and rewrote it. And so it got a little bit better. And there's no true way to truly replicate the damage system in Arma, like artificially, without just letting it be.
Right.
Because Arma is so messed up and convoluted.
Right.
But I think I marginally fixed it. I still think that there's probably tasers that are OP out there compared to lethals. But I was kind of proud of that at the time, because I was like, everybody had been denying this for so long, but there was a problem. I was going to release it sooner, but Zahzi wants to wait till the wiki is made out, which this is the perfect place to have it, is the tiered, the scripts for the tiers of the vehicles, so that people can testify those and stuff.
Oh, yes. That would be awesome.
I will wait. I will make a custom mission file so people can test all the vehicles they want real quick, because that's an easy thing to make. But some people who might not want to spend the little time to make a mission file, but once that I'll wait until that comes out before.
That's awesome.
This might be something, if you want to talk about this more into it, and maybe we're getting right into it now, but I think that a wiki is a really, really great thing for new players, because that's where Olympus is suffering right now, is new players. And it's honestly, that is what's been leading to its demise, is it's been suffering for new players for a long time now. And it's one, because we've catered a lot to older players, which, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The problem is we haven't catered towards new players all that much, at least when it comes out of the game. In game, the experience is easier than ever to get started, in the aspect that you're given a pickup truck when you first start. I think you get a backpack maybe when you first start.
Maybe.
You might not get that, but you get 50K now. You get the world handed to you, basically. Like, you are good to... That pickup truck is such a big thing when you're first playing the game. You get hints now. It's easy to start, and then we have a great support system, and now even, a wiki, but and that's more auto game. But the only hard part about starting up now is that people are very, very bored, more now than they were in the past, so they might rob you, which is obviously a huge dent.
That's
just the nature of the game. You're not going to avoid that too much.
Ryan did like a trailer contest, and I ended up winning it. That's why I have the role player tag on the forums. That's what I chose. I could have got like a GoSock 10 million game. I'm like, I want a forums tag. And after that, I was really like inspired to like do trailers and do like stuff like that. And so what we talked about recently is doing on the YouTube is update spotlights. So with every update, choosing one thing that's kind of like the shining star in the update, the thing that people are looking for, a casino, an art gallery robbery, and making a short video on that with people that are prominent in the community that people like. Whatever, like a little storyline that people like laugh at, enjoy, and then they're like, I want to go see what I can do at the casino. That's what I want to do.
And that sounds like an amazing idea, and people love that. The most ironic and funny part that I find about that is that Ryan, I think the way Ryan became the most popular on Olympus prior to becoming an admin really was the media team. He was
I've heard about it.
The old media team, and so him giving you YouTube access, and that was the same thing that he had, I believe, when he was on this media team that existed for a whole like whopping 2 months. But it's just really funny to see how that has changed, because now it's him giving somebody kind of that media team sort of role, and so it's really powerful because you're able to market Olympus in a sense, and that's the kind of stuff that Olympus needs.
Do you have anything that you kind of want to put out there, promote, or that you want to touch on that maybe I haven't asked you about? Is there anything that you want to bring up?
And the only thing I have to promote is that I don't know when this will be edited, but I'll basically be starting to stream in the next week. So depending, maybe it's already happened, but that's what I intend to do. So if anybody's interested, I'll probably be popping into Arma every once in a while, but I'll be doing some blind playthroughs. I'll be doing Red Dead 2. I'll be doing Beat Saber and all over. So to promote that, it'd be Twitch TV /PopTartRex. But
heck yeah, and I'll put it in the when I make the post in the forums, I'll put it in the comment or in the description of the, and then also I can put it.
Plug right there.
Oh, it's all good, man. You gave me your time. You answered my questions, so that's the least I could do. You get to ask me whatever question you want.
Okay, I'm gonna preface my question with a quick question to get into my one. How long have you been a part of the community for, like actively since your break?
So I would say I think it's definitely been over a year. It's about a year and a half.
Okay, so you've been a part of this community for a decent amount of time. You've been able to get a very good, relatively recent view of the community, and you got access to see kind of the insight to where Olympus is going. Now, based on that knowledge and where you see Olympus is going and stuff, where do you think Olympus is going to end up? Let's say 3 years from now. Where do you think Olympus will end up? Will it be a community of a few guys just reminiscing on the past? Will it be, a community that is, thriving on another game? Will it still be an Arma 3? What do you think?
Okay, so in my happiest dreams, would love to see Olympus still do well in Arma 3. What I think will happen is that Arma 3 is obviously getting older and older by the day, and I think the players are decreasing and decreasing. But I think we have far too many people who are dedicated to the server and care about the server for it to just go away one day, right? I think it'll just be a slow dwindling of numbers. People will complain, and my biggest hope is that Arma 4 comes out. I think if something like that comes out, if Arma 4 comes out, and we're not our player base isn't too decreased, I think that what will happen is hopefully we'll move to Arma 4, and I want to be there for it. And that's like the best thing that can happen in my dreams, at least. I don't think that Arma has a fantastic chance on another game, because I think if anything, it would have to be another role-play game that is very similar, because that's what everyone's kind of here for, is for the game and for the community. So I don't think Olympus could go on something like Rust and really do. I mean, maybe, right? But or Minecraft. I don't think Olympus could just totally pick up Arma, move to Minecraft, right? I think it would have to be a Arma sequel, and I just hope that sequel comes out soon, because I don't want the sequel to come out and Olympus is dead, right? I want the sequel to come out and there's still enough people around that we can, pick up arms and then go move to the next thing and rebuild Olympus in a sense. That's my greatest hope, and hopefully if that happens, I'd love to be a part of it. So that's what I think will happen. Being optimistic, that Arma 4 will come out and we'll be able to move over.
That is, I'm actually, I kind of want to comment on that now that I think about it. That's a very good optimistic look. That's the best case scenario for me for what happens to Olympus, is that the Olympus player base stays as active as it needs to until the problem is not only Arma 4 coming out, but also the framework for Altis Life, because that's really what you could be waiting on, is that we're going to have Arma 4 come out, but then we need framework on it, and then we need to be able to work on what sets us unique. And really, what will help us is we'll already have a player base, so even if our Altis Life server at the time looks exactly the same as the other server, we already have a player base that's on it. So that'll drag new people in easily. That'll drag old people in. But when Arma comes out and when Altis Life RP, or it won't be Altis Life, whatever life server, framework comes out for on it, that's what everybody's going to be playing. That's what the streamers that are going to be playing. Everybody's playing GTA RP right now. And even though Arma roleplay might be less realistic, people are going to play it because they want to give that a shot.
Yeah.
And so, being optimistic, hopefully that what Olympus needs to do is that second that Arma 4 is announced, we need to be, ready to jump on. What did we do wrong the past, 6 years? Yeah. Because it's 6 years since Olympus has been on. What did we do wrong the last 6 years? What did we do right? Let's do what we did right and do it better. And then let's look at what we did wrong and be able to work off that. And I think that would open us up to, being optimistic once again. Yeah. Assuming, all of our resources were good by then, and we still had a very active player base, we'd set ourselves up for a lot of success. Yeah.
Well, awesome. I think that's a good note to end on. I hope you come back for another episode. That's something I always tell everyone, is that, if, it's not, you do one and you're done, if you feel like you want to come back on, maybe there's a new set of things you want to talk about or what, you can always come back. So
I'd love to probably, get some more topics to talk about in the future here. I like to keep updated with Olympus, but
right.
I'd love to come back on another time.
Heck yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and another time I'll see you later.
Yeah.
All
See
right.
you.
Peace.